The articles that Mr. McGilded had deposited in Windenbank's pawnbrokery are intimately related with the omnibus case, the trial of which was heard in the courtroom 2 months ago.
Yes, I remember this young lady being brought before me in that trial as well.
I didn't read that for some reason.
You're right.
That's right, my lord. Her testimony helped to establish the innocence of the defendant, Mr. McGilded. The omnibus case was intriguing, to say the least. And now here we are again. The same players in that trial facing each other once more. A twist of fate, perhaps, my Nipponese friend. Allow me to recap the events of 2 months ago. An old brickmaker was stabbed to death in an omnibus running along London's winter streets. Yes, we have created the recreation of the omnibus for use in this case. Just brings in another omnibus. Apart from the victim, there was only one other person in the carriage, Mr. McGilded. Naturally, he was the prime suspect for the murder. But as the trial progressed, another possibility emerged. That the murder in fact took place above the defendant's head on the roof deck, with the body then being dropped through the skylight into the carriage below. It was Miss Lestrade whose testimony brought that possibility to light. At the time of the incident, Miss Lestrade was concealed under a seat in the carriage, hoping to pick the pockets of unsuspecting passengers. Then, immediately after the trial, having been acquitted of the murder, Mr. McGilded died in this very courtroom in the most extraordinary of circumstances. A mystery that remains unsolved even now, 2 months on. I bet whoever the arsonist was really handsome. I bet he had an 8th pack. I bet you could grate cheese on his abs. And as indeed it does the omnibus murder itself.
Be that as it may, why are you so interested in the body of the arsonist, Van Zieks? Anyway, I recall neither the disc nor this small box being mentioned in the course of those proceedings.
Miss Lestrade. What? Would you tell the court now, please, what really happened in the omnibus 2 months ago, I mean? Never can trust grown-ups. I don't know what you mean. I already said all what I know. And what about everything you told us yesterday from inside your prison cell? Please, Miss Lestrade. This is extremely important. But... remember, little girl, you are on oath. If it transpires that you willfully withheld information in the trial 2 months ago, the Home Office will seek to prosecute you for perjury. And naturally, you will lose all credibility as a witness. Although, let's face facts. You have little credibility to lose. Jenny, don't listen to him. Please, you have to trust Reno now. Iris. We're on your side. Whatever. Alright then. I'll talk. It's the right choice, Gina. Well, it would seem that my learned friend is hell-bent on bringing the entire courtroom down to about his ears. So be it.
I must confess that I'm struggling to understand what on earth is happening here. However, it would appear that Mr. McGillen's pawned articles on that extraordinary case of the omnibus harbor secrets of which have been hitherto unaware. So, Mr. Lestrade, you will now give your testimony before the court about the events of 2 months ago. You will reveal the truth, the commodity sorely lacking in your original statements.
This is it then. Everything's going to come out. Like Van Zieks said. This could bring the whole courtroom down about my ears, but as a lawyer, I'm prepared to take that risk.
Smack, smack, smack. Clap, clap, clap.
Truth is, the brickmaker cove was in the cabin of the omnibus the whole time. When the Irishman dragged me out from under the seat, I saw that disc on the floor.
All of a sudden, I heard a scream from over my head, and that power on the roof deck went off to call the slops. That's when Mr. McGill had slipped a driver some tin to do run to the pawn shop roundabout. Oh no, Beppo! He threatened me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one about what I'd seen or heard.
Good grief, this is outrageous. What you've just told the court bears almost no resemblance to your testimony of 2 months ago.
As you say, my lord.
Then there's every chance I may have adjudicated an error in McGillet's trial. Sounds very much to me as if the man deliberately deceived his court in an effort to cover up the most wicked of schemes.
A scheme indeed, your lordship is correct. A great injustice was done in this courtroom 2 months ago. The actions of the accused in that trial of this witness and of my learned friend are entirely inexcusable. Yeah.
The whole trial was a farce, it was all lies. That McGill fellow was rotten to the core. Don't forget that lawyer from the east, they were all in it together.
You're wrong there, lot of you. Mr. Naruto, the lawyer there, he didn't know nothing about it.
Humbug.
I don't think so. We really expected to believe that.
He released everyone up, did he? With an operation to get the man off scot-free.
Unforgivable. Stop. The lies have to stop. Stop.
Yes, the defense made a terrible error of judgment. I intend to take full responsibility and suffer whatever consequences are deemed appropriate. However, it's imperative that the court allows the witness to elaborate on her testimony, because the true significance of Ms. Gilda's pawned articles must be brought to light. Very well, my learned student friend. Given the depths of calamity you have just plunged yourself into, this may well be worth hearing. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I'm very uncomfy right now.
I'm sorry. Do you want me to move?
No, it's just the seat. These cushions are real bad. It makes me lean forward when I don't want to.
Words fail me. This situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruto,
Yes, my lord.
you really are a scumbag lawyer. I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial.
Oh, what? My fate?
Blimey, Mr. Naruto.
Now, counsel, proceed with the cross-examination.
Oh, he's not even looking. And you were hiding in the cabin at the time as well, weren't you, Miss Lestrade? If I remember rightly, in the storage compartment underneath one of the seats?
Yeah, that's right. It's pitch black under there, so you can't see nothing at all.
Now, in your testimony 2 months ago, I feel certain that you claimed Mr. McGill was the sole passenger, did you not?
False testimony, my lord.
That's what he told me I had to say. What are you doing here? That seems a little suspicious.
But it's important that you tell us the truth now. Were Mr. McGill and the victim acquaintances?
I don't know. But I did hear him talking a lot.
What were they talking about?
I couldn't hear too well, but if I had to say, these guys are whispering right next to me. It's really distracting. Could someone break them up? I think it was about money or something. They kept talking about buying and not buying.
Perhaps business dealings of some kind.
But anyway, they got louder and louder. It started to sound like a proper fight. I was pretty scared by then. I hardly dared to breathe. And then all of a sudden...
Yeah, somehow this makes me doubt this even more, because I feel like if you're on the top of the carriage, like Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First, and you hear shouting down below, you'd want to know the tea, right? Like you'd be watching that the whole
But
time.
again, it was also very windy. Could they have even
Yes.
heard that?
I guess.
I mean, hearing two men kind of argue
It's I get it.
through
It's-
a thing of glass is, I mean, a young girl's high-pitched scream.
I get it. It's different, yeah. I hardly dared to breathe, and then all of a sudden, I heard a noise like someone keeling over on the floor. It was blooming loud and all.
I believe you let out an involuntary scream.
Yeah. That's what gave me away.
Hold it!
Was the disc you saw this disc?
No, it was no discus. It was a music disc. I reckon it probably was. It was right next.
Sorry.
It was right next to the cove line on the floor.
This disc had belonged to the victims, perhaps.
I don't know, but Ms. McGilda picked it up pretty smartish. And then he sat on the cove with the knife in his belly up on the seat. It was really garish.
What did he say to you at the time?
He told me not to say a word about what I'd seen or heard to no one. About the disc and all. I was dead scared. The way he looked at me, I thought, if I didn't go along with it, I'd get stuck with that knife too. Then he started asking me a load of questions. Like what my name was and where I lived and that. He asked me about being a diver too.
But after a while, what had happened in the carriage was noticed.
Yeah, that's right. First there was a kind of rapping noise.
A rapping noise? That seems suspicious.
Hold
I guess
it!
it wasn't important. There were two gentlemen occupying the seats on the roof deck, I believe.
That's right.
I'm genuinely surprised one of these guys wasn't in, like, one of the juror spots or something. But I guess all the seats have to be filled pretty... Well, I guess we didn't really need...
We don't need them.
No. Like, they've served importance. Like, juror number 3, for example, being the stereoscope guy, and, you know, the lady with the telegram. But, I mean, like, we didn't need Mr. Garadeb back again, I guess, if we were to split hairs.
That is true.
They must have looked down through the skylight and noticed the cove with the knife in his guts. When they screamed, the diver pulled up the horses and McGilda got me out of sight.
Out of sight? Where?
Back under the seat where I started off. Once the carriage came to an halt, the two coves from the roof ran off to fetch the slops.
If they immediately left to fetch the police, it would appear they were entirely unrelated to the incident. So that left McGilded, the driver, and you still at the scene.
Yeah, only the driver didn't know I was there because I was under the seat. I heard the cabin door open and a voice from outside.
Driver, yes. He also testified in the trial, I believe. Mr. Beppo.
Oh, Beppo's so cold.
Fellow who went by the name Beppo, if memory serves.
What did Mr. McGilden and the driver say to each other?
I know what happened and stuff like that, mainly.
Hold it!
That pawn shop obviously being Windibanks on Baker Street.
Just a moment, counsel. Do you mean to tell me that the driver gave false testimony in that trial as well?
Perhaps the excursion to the pawnbroker slipped his mind while he was in the stand.
Indeed, Lord Van Zeeks. We gotta get Beppo in here, too. Good.
What, Pip and Cheerio? McGill took off his coat and gave it to the driver. He folded it up all careful like before handing it over. When I saw him do that, I remember thinking, that coat and what's in it gotta be worth a few bob.
Yes, Gina was sure that this must be worth more than Mr. Windibank was suggesting, wasn't she? Wait a second, this actually raises a good point. How did she get the ticket in the first place? Oh, wait, no.
He gave it to her.
That's right. I knew that. It's hard doing these long cases are rough when you have to stretch them out, because obviously I don't have like fucking 10 hours to sit down and do all it at once. It's actually really nice with Scott because we're doing them at like 7 to 8 hour chunks, and we can get through a lot of the cases in 1 or 2 sittings.
Yeah.
And it lets me keep track of what's going on in the case a lot easier.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, I'm not like Scott.
Yeah, because Scott's kind of forced to be with me for hours at a time. But then he, like, takes 2 weeks off, and then it starts over with a similar problem. Luckily, when we have those 2 weeks breaks, sometimes we're in between cases. Like right now. Yes, Gina was sure the disc must be worth more than Mr. Windenbake was suggesting, wasn't she? I remember her quibbling with him over the price that afternoon at the pawnbrokery.
The driver looked pretty happy when McGilder flashed some brass in his face. He went running off in a tick. Then the bog trotter called to me and told me to come out from the drag's cabin.
Hold it!
Yeah, this is just one where I have to press on everything. Threatened you would... How exactly?
Told me I'd only be able to scupper if I did exactly what he said.
Which included giving false testimony in court 2 months ago.
Yeah, I saw it. And there was the other thing he said.
Which was...
He told me I'd have to hang on to the ticket from the pawn shop and make sure not to lose it.
The tickets? Well, I never.
Said that if he didn't show up to get the ticket off me before 2 months passed, I had to go to the pawn shop and pay the money to keep it in lug. Stop it being forfeited. He left me with some brass to pay for it.
But really? Why on earth would Mr. McGill have done such a thing? Depositing his overcoat with a pawnbroker before the arrival of the police? It makes no sense at all.
Yeah, about that.
What McGilded had the driver deposit at Windibanks was something he didn't want police to see. Something very important that he needed to hide about at all costs.
Anyway, after that, he let me go, so I legged it before the coppers showed up.
Well done, Gina. It can't have been easy to tell the truth like that.
Ginny's really put her faith in you, Bruno.
Yes, and to thank her, she'll have to face a charge of perjury once this trial's over. So I need to use the time we have now to get as much information out of her as possible.
It's time to really go for it. Press her on every statement. I did!
Where'd my phone go? Oh, it's right here. I suppose I should.
What time is it?
It's like nearly 12.
Oh, another thing.
What's that?
What are they doing over there? Isn't it strange that they've been whispering to each other the entire time?
Yes, that is strange. It looks like they're having a secret discussion about something. Not sure I'm completely comfortable with that. I wonder if there's anything I can do about it.
Okay, what do you want?
I want fish and chips.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's an entree. Oh, wait, there it is.
Cluck and fries.
Clucks and fries. Ooh, Arctic cod, fish and chips. Are there any more?
Yeah, I'm sure there's-
Okay.
I got some. Do you want the Arctic?
Yeah,
cod or-
I want the Arctic cod. That sounds real good. You're gonna have to do.
Truth is, I don't know.
I'm just gonna try and hit them on wherever. I don't think there's anything I can do here.
Hold it! Excuse me.
Is there something you'd like to share with the court, Inspector Gregson and Mr. Graydon? Inspector! Mr. Graydon! Waha! Blimey, you trying to give me a heart attack? You've been whispering to each other for quite some time now.
Tell us, what is this discussion about? Discussion? With this fella? Pull the other one, sunshine. Think I have got anything to talk about with a shady jet like this?
And I have nothing to say to this uncouth detective after he deprived me of that disc that was rightfully mine.
They've clearly been talking the entire time I've been cross-examining Gina. It's as if they've been negotiating.
Thank you, Mr. Lestrade. Thank you, Counsel. I've heard enough. I believe we now have a reasonable understanding of what's actually transpired on the omnibus.
It would appear on that night 2 months ago, a negotiation was taking place on the omnibus. A negotiation concerning this disc. However, matters did not run smoothly. When the parties involved began to quarrel over price, McGilda took what he wanted by force, at the expense of the other man's life.
Which proves my point. The disc is clearly extremely valuable in some way. Although I don't understand why as yet.
And 2 days ago, precisely 2 months after the omnibus incident, McGillad's coat and its contents were due to be forfeited.
I don't know what I should do with the ticket. I mean, the Cove died right after his trial. I knew that. Are you getting a burger? Alright.
So you decided you would try to claim the articles as your own.
Well, why not, eh? They were gonna be forfeited. Why shouldn't I have got them? Anyway, you can't blame me for thinking about it. Thinking ain't no crime.
Mr. Lestrade, it would appear Mr. McGill was prepared to kill in order to take possession of this disc. Do you know why that would be?
I ain't got a clue.
You want to do pretzel bites?
Sure.
Pretzel bites.
But I reckon it must be worth a fair bit of brass. He was probably gonna sell it. Hey, you can't blame me for thinking that. Thinking ain't no crime.
I feel like we're going in circles here.
My lord! The evidence your lordship requested has been located and is ready for the court's inspection, sir! Mysterious little box deposited by McGilded 2 months ago. There's no doubt in my mind that it's a key piece in this far-reaching puzzle. You can use my card.
Use your card.
Yeah, it's in my wallet. Oh, actually, sorry. I'm. It might be under my desk. You might need to bend down and reach underneath. Yeah, just reach.
Oh, no.
Yeah, reach down under there. Okay.
I can't find it.
You can't find it? You need some help?
I found something.
Found something?
Nick.
An empty envelope.
Yeah, I might need your help here.
What are you doing, step bro? Anyway. The box! McGilded's box.
So this is the article in question, is it? A small box deposited with the pawnbroker by Mr. McGill 2 months ago.
And on the night of Mr. Windibake's murder, the only item on the shelves that was touched by whoever broke into the shop. Quick, let's open it and see what's inside. No, we shouldn't. Oh.
It's a music box.
Good gracious, this is no ordinary box, it seems.
Wow. Although, in truth, I had an inkling that it might be that case. It might be the case.
It would appear that the box houses a miniature music box movement.
And is it too much to expect?
I think it would be reasonable to assume that it is a device for the playback of this disc, my lord.
Oh, email.
So here we have the means to play back Mr. McGill's disc deposited at Windibanks at much the same time.
Not strictly correct, my lord. It was not McGilded's disc. It was the disc of the victim in the omnibus.
Why, for heaven's sake? Are we to understand that the brickmaker was trying to sell his music box disc to Mr. McGilded?
I believe the answer will become clear if we listen to the music on the disc, my lord. I think Mason was trying to, like, blackmail him. That's at least my prediction right before we play it.
Let the court now listen to this curious disc at last.
Why, my lord?
Good grief, what is the meaning of this? Inspector? You given me the hiccups.
The music box and the disc are, well, they're unrelated to the case. No need to spoil the sombre atmosphere in the courtroom with some silly bit of music. This disc may very well have motivated the culprit in the case to commit murder. Clearly there's every chance that it's fundamentally important to understand what's happened. The prosecution has no objection. But no. Clearly Scotland Yard has some vested interest here. But it is policy of this prosecutor to leave no avenues unexplored, and you, Inspector, have no jurisdiction here to prevent that from happening.
Wow! No further delays, please. Play the disc.
It's Morse code.
You're right.
What on earth? That's certainly not what I would call music. It's hideous. Turn it off. Destroy it. Cast it in the fires.
It's just the same note playing over and over again in an irregular sequence.
Mr. Graydon? Yes, this really is priceless. Let me dance to this horrific music. And for all that, the music box is broken.
Broken? It can't be, can it?
Well, obviously. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the officer sent to fetch it did drop it on the way back to the courtroom.
Yeah, stop making fun of Skeletor and his 2 left feet!
I feel the court must accept that this music box offers little in the way of clues. Are you ready to move on, Counsel?
Come on. Yes, alright. It doesn't sound as though it's completely It does sound as though it's completely broken, but is it? Could this music emanating from the music box possibly be a new clue?
Yes.
It could be. I believe that it could be relevant, my lord.
Good lord, but how? It's an abomination. Mere noise! I fear how it can have any meaning whatsoever.
It does sound strange, I agree, but there's one thing bothering me. While Graydon stands there chortling victoriously, the inspector beside him has a rather telling expression on his face. It's as if Gregson recognizes the sound, and he's familiar with it somehow. Did we get this earlier? Like, did we get any mention of Morse code earlier in this game? I don't recall.
Other than the telegram, who's literally working in Morse code right there.
Well, yeah, but it's not explicitly stated. That's making it appear on edge.
If that is that's the stance of the defense, my Nipponese friend, answer me this.
Oh?
Just what relevance do you propose this woeful chiming has on this case?
It's the defense's belief that the sound emanating from this music box is...
Not supposed to be music.
Also, would they even... No, they would. Just because this is a music box, it doesn't necessarily mean the sounds we're hearing are music. Look at that. The smile vanished from Graydon's lips as soon as I said it. I must be on the right track. I must be.
Making deductions based on how people react to what you say. You're acting just like Hurley, Bruno.
The sounds we're hearing aren't necessarily music. Well, now you've told us what they are not. I'm sure the court would like to hear what they are. Do enlighten us, my Nipponese friend. Well, surely you'll have an idea in mind, because if not, it will be the death of your ill-formed argument.
Exactly. The music box is clearly broken. Refusing to accept that fact is pure foolishness.
You've got me. I don't know what the answer is yet. Oh wait, don't you have a gift card?
Shit.
Yeah. You already paid, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Bruno, why are you staring off like that? I've just examined the music box very thoroughly, and I'm fairly certain that it's not broken at all.
Really?
Really, the way it's been made, it can only produce a single note anyway.
Thank you, Iris. Alright, well, if the music box isn't broken, it must mean that the sounds it's producing have some significance that isn't musical. Ugh. Could it be? Is that what these sounds are?
Something's just struck me, Bruno. I feel like recently, in the past few hours even, I've heard another sound very much like the one this music box makes.
Yes, it's a familiar sound. Actually, Iris, I was just thinking exactly the same thing.
I'm going to have to press the defense for an answer. If your assertion is the sound produced by this music box is not in fact music at all, then what the devil is it, counsel?
All the evidence we've seen so far, all the testimony we've heard, it's all pointing in one single answer now. The prosecution demands that my learned Nipponese friend presents proof now. Tangible proof. Well, shit, I don't have proof. I was just gonna answer your question, but
Well, the proof can lie within,
we don't have any proof.
no, with the, woman.
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't have any proof. Tangible proof of this latest wild speculation. Alright then. This could be the best chance I'm going to get to fight back in this trial. And if I'm right, it's going to join all the dots together. The evidence that explains the true nature of the sounds of this music box is...
Hold on, what's the paper say again?
Which one? This one?
Go on the back.
Nope. Nothing about it. We need something that links it to Morse code, but we don't have anything.
Try the paper. Because that at least links it to Gregson, who obviously knows.
You know what? You're probably right.
Today's paper, counsel. The headline is Pawnbroker perishes in pick-purse plunder. Hardly sport of a real cause.
No, my lord. I was hoping you'd look a little further down the page.
Further down. An industry mole, classified secret, may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. Yes, this is a very serious matter being investigated at the highest level, I understand.
I have heard that international transmissions along supposedly secure lines are somehow being intercepted and leaked to various other countries. My accent came back somehow. Oh no, now it's gone. And presumably those transmissions are in the form of wired telegrams. Of course. Juror number 5, your input, please. Beep, 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 beep.
Stop! Me, sir? Whatever's the matter?
You told the court before that you worked at the same communication station as Mr. Graydon, did you not?
Yes, that's correct.
And the particular station where you work deals with government communications and newspaper reports.
Oh yes, we're not your run-of-the-mill communication station at all. Our work is extremely important.
Then tell me, is this not a very familiar sound? Oh, so it's probably referring to the when they were talking about we've heard this sound before in the last couple hours. It was probably referring to the sound effects that she makes when she types.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, which we can barely hear the sound effects because we got the TV turned down so low, so that doesn't come back up.
Yeah, but the fact that, I've
Yeah.
seen the thing.
No, I mean, like, obviously we know what Morse code is, but, like, I was gonna say that we in the game, in the context of the game, they haven't even mentioned Morse code up to this point. That's right, madam. It bears more than a passing resemblance to the sound made by your telegraph machine as you tap it. I believe it's called Morse code. But I don't believe it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but when it comes to leaking telegrams from government departments, there could be nobody more perfectly placed than a highly skilled communications officer. Are you suggesting that the music box disc contains stolen government secrets in Morse code? So, wait, but then how does that relate to Mason? How did Mason get it? Order!
He probably makes the disc.
No. No way. You're right. I think you're right.
Please, everyone, order, but this is high treason, Counsel, deserving of capital punishment.
Too much Russian, too much new vocabulary. What is treason and what is capital punishment? I have no such thing. There's no such thing as capitalization in my country. We have only communal punishment. Communal punishment.
Sorry,
Everyone gets hurt.
I was joking, but but that's actually a thing. Communal punishment.
Mm-hmm.
These sorts of words I'm half expected you to know.
For our sovereign government's confidential information, hostile nations would surely pay almost any penny.
Yes, and on that night 2 months ago, that was the very negotiation that was taking place inside the omnibus. But in the end, Miss McGilded perished in the all-important disc unclaimed in the pawnbrokery.
My word.
In which case, whoever stole that information in the first place must surely have been beside himself with worry, because if the disc were to be discovered before it found its way out of the country...
You'd reveal an act of high treason punishable by death.
So the Crowbot had no choice but to retrieve it, and in order to do that, he would have to gain entry to the pawnbrokery illegally in the middle of the night, because the article left by Mr. McGilded would incriminate him too much if he got it in the wrong hands. Isn't that right, Mr. Graydon?
You think I've been stealing government secrets? Preposterous. Absolutely preposterous.
So in response to the defense's accusation, you claim complete innocence, do you?
Well, of course I do. I've had to stand here in silence while the pretentious foreign lawyer has been prattling away. So if they fuck up, it's my turn to talk. Then I'll buy...
What time is the food ready, by the way?
12:09.
What time is it now?
12:03.
Do you want to head out?
You gonna come with me?
Someone has to keep playing the game.
No, we can pause the game.
We can pause the game, I guess.
Right here, when Van Zeke's finally gonna, be like, hey, wait, I'm actually gonna be a lawyer now.
Then by all means, counter the charges, sir. The prosecution demands the witness testifies in response to the accusations brought in by the defense.
Delighted, I'm sure. The witness is reminded that the crime under scrutiny in the trial is the murder of the pawnbroker, Mr. Winterbank. That being a most What? Flagitious offense for which the law of the land sanctions a capital punishment, but the heinous act of high treason is no less serious a crime. I urge you to bear that in mind as you testify, Mr. Raiden. Yes. So then, let us proceed. You may... What?
You gotta let us have a rabbit and pork here, Governor. We got things to say.
I beg your pardon. Who do you think you are?
Name's Skulls Nash Sculpin. Occupation is professional baddie.
Name's Ringo Skulkin. Well, we ain't baddies enough to set out on Motherland. Motherland.
So they didn't even know that they were stealing government
Yeah, they
secrets.
didn't know.
That's right. We're what they call the Three Skulkin Brothers. Bad timing, fellas. Really bad timing.
They're doing it because of his mustache.
Oh God. Could that be it? His mustache. Alright, so we're gonna leave off there for a sec. Thank you for joining us for Side by Side Plays. I'm Shikuquaza. I have to. Yeah, you are. We're just gonna take a quick gander at the evidence, so to speak. We'll be back soon enough with more The Great Ace Attorney Adventures. Wait, actually, did they change the name? No, it says Great Ace Attorney Adventures. Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. I could have sworn somebody said that they changed the names when they localized them, and I was like, no.